Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Yay! We are back here live on Zoom and also on our podcast with Coach Laura Garland, I should say Dr. Laura Garland Griffith, and she has many names, many hats, scientist, biophysicist. There's so much to her, life coach, and of course, she's here today talking about how the cards she pulled are going to, elaborate our conversation. So what happened today? What did you pull in your tarot deck?
All right, so today I pulled purpose, abundance, and peace.
Ooh.
And yeah, I'm figured out how to weave all these together. It's really about the purpose, but I'm going to talk about abundance and peace because they really play in with this. So, and really interestingly, I've had this conversation with two clients last week. So this is sometimes how this works. Mm-hmm. I had people come in and I want to find my purpose. I want to find my purpose. And I realized there's a bunch of misunderstandings about purpose. And a lot of times people are doing their purpose and they don't think they are because of these misunderstandings. So, and there's kind of like five, well, at least five that I thought of today. So, good. The first one is that purpose is some grand plan imposed upon us by something outside of ourselves. And I'm just going to run through the five and then I'll elaborate.
Sure.
The second is that once you find your purpose, that it somehow instantly makes you famous and wealthy. That your purpose must somehow be entwined with your career. And that when you have a career of purpose, then that somehow has to be something grand and huge and big. And that when you do find your purpose, suddenly everything's bliss and perfect. And pretty much none of those are true. And because people think that these are true, it really ends up limiting what they're doing and how they're thinking and how they're behaving. It makes people feel really lost because like, oh, I haven't found my purpose. I can't find my purpose, when they may have actually already found it. They just don't know. And a lot of people feel really unfulfilled because it's supposed to be this grand thing. And it's not. So let's go with the imposed plan first. So it's imposed from the outside. There's some grand plan imposed. No. It's really choice. And as far as I can tell, we choose what our purpose is before we incarnate.
Oh, wow.
So like we work with our soul group and we decide what we're going to do before we incarnate. And sometimes we haven't, due to choices we made when we were younger, we haven't managed to get to where we had thought we would be on our journey by the time, we're in our 30s or whatever. And so, yeah, you got to work on it and we got to find it, but it's not imposed from outside. We decided what we were going to do. So that's the first thing. Nobody's making us, quote unquote, do anything.
Yeah.
So I've had that one come up. It's a plan that I have to do. If I don't, then the universe is going to, quote unquote, get mad or something.
Of course, right?
No. If you don't manage everything this lifetime, next lifetime, because I fully believe in reincarnation. Okay. So second one of misunderstanding is that somehow when you are working your purpose, you're famous and wealthy. No. Some people are, because that's their purpose. But not everyone can be famous and wealthy, because then that would make us all the same, which therefore would mean not famous because we're all the same. So
got it.
a little convoluted there, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and here's where the abundance comes in. If you're working your purpose, sure, you can be abundant. you might not be a mega millionaire or billionaire or whatever,
Mhm.
but you can definitely be abundant, because when you're in line with your purpose, you might be able
Even.
to get the money to flow to you.
Mhm.
And I say might because it might not be your purpose to be wealthy,
True.
but you can still be abundant and not wealthy. But you could have a bunch of abundance blocks that you picked up when you were young. And so even though you're working on your purpose, you might have trouble getting the money to flow, getting that feeling of abundance to come in because you've got blocks going on.
Yep.
Um,
Yes.
I've had clients who've tried to put blocks on me because they had this thinking in their own mind. I've actually had clients tell me because I do stuff spiritually
Yeah.
that I shouldn't charge any money. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a thing
Wait
out
a
there.
second. And they try blocking. I feel like it's a voodoo, like they're putting a
Yeah.
pin in the little voodoo doll for you.
Yeah. I've had clients like, well, I shouldn't have to pay you because you're doing something spiritual for me. And I'm like,
Well, there's an
isn't your
exchange of
doctor?
services. If you don't want to pay, let's exchange goods. I mean, you exchange your services, spiritual, physical, labor, whatever you do for something. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah. So I've had people try to put that on me, and I'm like, ooh, no. I'm not sure what happened when you were young, but somebody put that block in on you. So, and then the whole thing was they were working on being more spiritual. I'm like, if you're working on being more spiritual and you say you can't pay me because I'm doing spiritual, then I guess you can't get paid for anything either. And they were like, well, no. I'm like, yeah, it was very, very weirdly dissonant. And so this belief ends up making more suffering. And there's a lot of this belief out there that you can't be spiritual and have money. But it's being spiritual is all about exchanging the energy. Okay, there's got to be an energy exchange. And in our culture, money is actually the really easy way that we exchange energy. It's the super easy way we exchange energy. Money is just another form of energy. And when you think about it, right now, pretty much everything's done electronically, right?
Yeah.
We don't carry a lot of cash anymore. We don't do that. It's all electronic, which is literally energy.
Yeah.
Little electric currents with those ones and zeros taking money from your bank account to my bank account. And it is literally the energy exchange.
Yep.
So you can be abundant if you're spiritual. You can be abundant when you're working on your purpose. You just got to make sure you don't have blocks in there. Like really some of these weird ones. Others, a lot of them come up from when we were kids. Maybe we were not wealthy growing up. And so we have weird blocks in there, thinking about wealthy people are mean people. I've run into that one a lot. And sure, some wealthy people are mean, but I got to tell you, some poor people are really mean too. So
True. You're right. Yep.
Some middle-class people are really mean too. Mean people has really nothing to do with the amount of abundance you have. It has much more to do with your personality. So these weird blocks get in there. And so even if you're on your purpose, you could still be blocking your abundance. So let's not do that. Let's work on getting rid of these blocks so that when we're on our purpose, we can be abundant, whatever that means. It doesn't have to mean mega millions, because that's also a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Having a lot of money is also a lot of responsibility too. So, sometimes that's just not where you're supposed to be this life. Sometimes it is.
Yep.
So if you're wanting to create your purpose with an ethical and spiritual backing, don't make the artificial blocks. And I want to ask people, how is it easiest to help others? When you're worrying about losing your house, You don't know how you're going to pay for your transportation. You're not even sure where your next meal is coming from. And you're in a constant state of anxiety. Or, if things are flowing and you've got time and you've got energy and you've got money and you can go out and help people. Yep. That last one is the one where it's so much easier to help people than if you're in a constant state of anxiety. So I want to let people know you can be spiritual, you can be on purpose, you can be on your path and your journey, and you can still be abundant, because if your purpose has anything to do with helping people, it's much easier when you're not in constant anxiety. So, all right, so that brought our abundance card in. But back to our misunderstandings. The third and fourth misunderstanding, I kind of end up getting lumped together. Your purpose is supposed to be your career. No,
but so many people judge and define themselves on what they do for a living. And it's like, hi, I'm an attorney. I'm a this. I'm people are like, oh, I'm Jill. I'm mom. I live here. Like that. Some people, the ones who start with what they do, I'm an engineer or I'm an accountant. It's just, I feel like they don't have enough security in themselves, or like, because the job does not define you. And I dated someone that way, and it was horrible. Everything was about his job. And I'm like, what about you? You're a father. You're a good person. You're not a financier. Like, stop talking about your job. It's unattractive. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Because your purpose may not be your career at all. Okay. It might be, but it really may not be, because, a good chunk of your day is not spent doing your job. At least there should be a good chunk of your day that's not spent doing your job. What if your purpose is to be a fantastic parent?
Yeah.
To raise incredible kids that end up doing amazing things, like, figure out 0 point energy, and so we never have to worry about energy on the planet again. So, and in this world, you can be this fantastic parent, but most likely you have to have a job, a job, and it's not your purpose. It's just there because, we need to have this energy exchange. And one of the things we need to have is money if you live in the West. So, your job is not your purpose. Or maybe, your purpose is to be a truly supportive friend. And that's what you're supposed to do. And you have this amazing network of friends that you support, and they go out and do, whatever it is, amazing things they do. Or maybe your purpose is to work in the food pantry every month. Maybe that's your purpose. And here's the thing, it would be really hard to support your food pantry, taking things or time or money to them, if you're actually having to take from the food pantry. So we go back to the abundance thing. So, maybe your purpose is that working with the food pantry or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, you're going to have a job job. That's all it is. It's a job job. You do it. It's not about fulfilling you, because your purpose is something outside of that job. But then there are people who have a career as a purpose. And then they think it's got to be this grand thing.
Yeah.
But what if your purpose is to be an accountant, and you get joy and delight when you see all those beautiful numbers line up just correctly? What if that's your purpose? And maybe you're an accountant who one of your clients is a nonprofit that feeds thousands of people, but your purpose isn't being an accountant. Or maybe your purpose is being a bartender, and you love the way that things mix, and you like coming up with new things, and you love talking to people. And one night you're a great bartender, so one night you call a ride for some guy and or gal, but so they take the ride instead of driving, and they don't hit the car with the little kid who's gonna save the world and figure out cancer. So but you're just a bartender.
Yeah.
That's your purpose. But maybe your purpose is being a doctor.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be, a brain surgeon. Maybe you're a really great GP. That's your purpose.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter whether your purpose is an accountant or a doctor or even an astronaut for that matter. If your purpose is your career, then let it fulfill you. And when it does that, you won't find yourself being all braggy about it usually. Usually it's just part of you.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. So when your purpose is your career, then you should get a sense of delight and fulfillment from it. If you're not getting that sense of delight and fulfillment from your career, see if it's somewhere else in your life, because again, your career does not have to be your purpose. But if you don't have that delight and fulfillment somewhere, then indeed you are still looking for that path of purpose, because it's really important to remember that purpose is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not a destination. You're supposed to have a journey in life and do stuff. That brings us to our fifth misunderstanding. That once you have your purpose, your life turns into perfectness and is complete bliss.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Because life is that journey. So life happens and there's other people's free will. And maybe even though you're following on your purpose and you're on your journey, maybe you get sucked into some negative thinking. And then the next thing you know, the result of that negative thinking is that some other person's free will has totaled your car. Yeah. Just because you're on purpose, on journey, doesn't mean that we can't get sucked into stupid things. Start thinking thoughts that get us down, that don't bring us peace. Peace is something we actually kind of have to work for. There's a lot of stuff we have to work on to find peace. It doesn't just automatically result from landing on your purpose. I mean, you got to do stuff like meditate. Yes. Always come back to the meditation. Meditation is absolutely key if you want to feel that sense of peace. If you want that in your life, meditation is absolutely key. And you can do really simple meditation. I've talked about this. Breathe in for 5 seconds. Breathe out for 5 seconds. And repeat. And when you do this for 3 minutes, you suddenly find a massively increased sense of peace. And if you do this every day, then you find that sense of peace within just a few breaths. The more you practice it, the quicker you drop into that sense of peace. But now I got to tell you, if you're not taking care of your body, so eating, sleeping, drinking water, exercising, you're also not really going to land in that sense of peace really easily.
True.
All right. So this is other things that you have to work on. You can be on purpose and doing all of this, but if you're not taking care of your body, you might not find that sense of peace. You also have to take care of your responsibilities. If you got things piling up and you're just letting them pile up, you're not going to find that sense of peace. So you've got to do that too. And you got to keep your mind clean. You got to practice mindfulness. And this is that whole, don't think the negative thoughts that result in your demolished car. You got to keep your mind clean. And that takes practice. Mindfulness is practice. It's paying attention to what you're thinking all the time. And if your thoughts are going in some place that's not making you feel peaceful and delighted and happy, then you have to actually be like, wait, why am I thinking this? You got to step off to the side for a second and figure out whether you're buying into a pattern that somebody told you that you're supposed to do, blah, 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 or whether you've got some trauma going on and so something triggered it, or there's just a lot of things, or whether you're just buying into the BS that you can hear a lot of, and a lot of stuff isn't really fun.
Yeah.
Night before last, both my husband and I were sitting there reading, but apparently we were both reading our news feeds, and we apparently both stumbled on the same article, and it was not an uplifting article, and we both went into kind of a not great place, because it was about the problem that the world is having with food right now, and how it's probably not going to be great this winter. And we both started kind of really buying into the whole upsetness of it. And then I was like, then I got upset at myself for getting upset about something I don't have any control over.
Yeah.
I don't have control over the world food situation.
Yeah.
Kind of wish I did.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's just way too much. But at the same time, going down a spiral wasn't going to help. It wasn't going to draw anything better to me. And it certainly wasn't going to help with the world food situation. Being cognizant of the issue is important, but getting sucked down and getting really unhappy with it just adds energy to the unhappy part. It doesn't in any way fix it. And this is where mindfulness comes in. And we're like, and then I had to stop beating myself up about getting upset.
Yeah.
And be like, no, let's dream a better dream. Let's think better thoughts. That's the only thing. Change the energy. That's the only thing that's going to shift this, so that maybe the people in charge can have an opening of their mind to find out some better solutions for this. So peace comes when we let it, not as an automatic thing, and we can easily derail our own peace. Life has to be lived, and trying to push peace into a corner somehow, or make a choice that becomes difficult if you're not mindful. And if you get sucked into these misunderstandings about your purpose, you may be on purpose already and not know it.
Mm-hmm.
Life's a journey. Your purpose is a journey. It's not a destination. And it's not always bliss, because there's another small part of this that I haven't mentioned. When we decide what our purpose is going to be before we incarnate, I'm pretty sure we also decide some lessons we need to learn. Lessons usually aren't fun. So we can be completely on purpose, because we could be in the middle of learning a lesson. And that lesson, it could be really not fun. And there's a lot of different lessons to learn. There's a lot of lessons to learn about abundance. There's a lot of lessons to learn about self-esteem. There's a lot of lessons to learn about all aspects of your life. And most of them are not fun. And then we get sucked into those too, because some people think that learning a lesson should be lifelong and then is a misery.
Yep.
And I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think the idea is we have some lessons that we've decided we're going to work on. And the point is to learn the lesson.
Yes, learn the lesson.
Let it go. If you're having a pattern come up repeatedly, it might be because you haven't learned the lesson yet. And sometimes this is like, it has to do with like relationships. Like, I have a good friend. She always.
And she's probably talking about me. I have the relationship problem. So yeah, I think that's what you're going with this one. Yes. But
choose the wrong guy. Repeatedly choose the wrong guy. And she does. And I've gently tried to mention to her about learning a lesson from this, because it's always the same wrong guy too. I don't know if you repeat that pattern or you just choose different wrong guys. But it's, she has some lessons to learn, and she won't let it go yet. She just is like, no, I've got, and I'm like, oh, because she just broke up with another one, and I'm like, oh, and my heart goes out to her, but I know that what it is she's got a lesson to learn, and she just won't let it go yet. She won't let it go. She won't learn it and then let it go. And I think that's what we're supposed to do. Learn it and let it go. Because I really do believe that we are supposed to be happy. Now, punctuated with periods of not great, because you got some lessons to learn. But in between that, I think we really are supposed to be happy. And I really want that for people. I want them to feel happiness and feel delight and feel peace.
Yeah.
And learn how to break through abundance blocks and find what that means for them and work on their purpose and know that it doesn't have to be something grand. You don't have to be an astronaut to be on your purpose.
Yeah.
I kind of thought for a long time that I was supposed to be an astronaut, and I really did want to be one.
Oh my gosh.
I did. And
first time I hear this. Wow. Well, that's why you were in the field you were in.
It was why I did a lot of the choices I made. But then I realized that isn't my purpose.
Yeah.
Being an astronaut wasn't my purpose. All the stuff I learned, fabulous, because as you know, I love to connect science and woo-woo together and make one thing. So all of that was super important, but I wasn't supposed to be an astronaut. I was supposed to do this, talk to people, help people, and help people find that peace, that purpose, and that sense of abundance. And so that's what we're doing.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. How can we reach out to you?
Sure. Direct contact, email drlaura.coach. So drlaura.coach@gmail.com. Or you can call the office 843-259-8349.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Garland. Pleasure having you here as always. Love talking to you. Always a breath of fresh air. And all those naysayers out there who come to try to block you, it won't happen. Your energy won't let it. You're too good of a person. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk next week. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home. that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.